Ex-Youth and Sports Minister Syed Saddiq Abdul Rahman has pleaded not guilty to charges of criminal breach of trust or CBT and misappropriation of over 1.12 million ringgit from Bersatu. According to the charges read out to him before Judge Azura Alwi, the ex-Armada Bersatu chief is accused of having committed CBT by withdrawing 1 million ringgit from the Bersatu Youth Wing's account without getting approval from party chiefs. The offence was allegedly committed on March 6, 2020, over a week after the Sheraton move, which led to the collapse of the Pakatan Harapan government and Syed Saddiq losing his post as a minister. The Muar MP is also charged with misappropriating 120,000 ringgit worth of election funds from Armada Bersatu in 2018 before the last general election. The judge set 300,000 ringgit in bail and one surety for the first charge and set 30,000 ringgit in bail for the second charge. If found guilty for the first charge, he could be jailed for up to 10 years, whipped and/or fined, while the second charge carries a jail term of up to 5 years, whipping and/or a fine if convicted. Speaking to the press today, Syed Saddiq claimed the order to charge him was actually ready in August last year and questioned why the government is only charging him now, almost a year later. He said this proves that the charges were politically motivated. Long-distance couples and parents who have received both doses of their COVID-19 vaccine shots may be allowed to travel interstate to meet their families when a relaxation of restrictions is announced in due course. Citing Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob, State News Wire Bernama reported that the flexibility to allow long-distance families to meet is among matters being considered for those who have been fully vaccinated. He reportedly said he felt concerned and had taken note of netizens' laments over the interstate travel restriction that has taken a toll on relationships of couples and parents who have been separated from their children. He said this is an issue that he had often brought up in the National Security Council meetings, and the proposal is now being studied. Earlier, Prime Minister Tan Sri Muhyiddin Yassin said the easing of restrictions for individuals who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19 would soon be decided in the National Recovery Council meeting. Co-op investee Swift College has filed a draft prospectus for an initial public offering or IPO on the main market of Bursa Malaysia. Co-op has a 13.61% stake in Swift College, which is an integrated logistics services provider. According to the draft IPO prospectus posted on the Securities Commission's website, the proposed IPO will involve the sale of 314.14 million ordinary shares, comprising 157.14 million new shares and 157 million existing shares. Up to 275.2 million shares will be involved in the institutional offering. Of the 38.93 million new shares in the retail offering, 17.79 million new shares will be made available for the Malaysian public via balloting, of which at least 8.89 million new shares will be earmarked for Bumiputra investors. The remaining 21.13 million new shares will be made available to eligible directors, employees and other persons who have contributed to the success of Swift College. Swift College said it plans to use the proceeds to construct a new warehouse, purchase land, cold chain logistics companies and prime movers, repay bank borrowings and defray listing expenses. It plans to distribute a dividend of up to 30% of profit to shareholders. Khazanah National's venture capital arm Zaraya Capital investee Rapid Microbio Systems has been listed on the Nasdaq Global Select market following an IPO of 7.92 million shares of $20 each to raise $158.4 million or about 669.76 million ringgit. Zaraya CEO Faris Zahir, who confirmed the listing, told theedgemarkets.com that Zaraya initially invested in the microbiology automation specialist in 2018. Faris, however, declined to reveal how much money Zaraya has invested in Rapid Microbio Systems so far. He said the company co-led the B-round funding with Bain Capital Life Sciences when it first invested in Rapid Microbio Systems and brought in investors including Asahi and TVM Capital Life Science, as well as in subsequent CND rounds with Ally Bridge Group, BlackRock and T. Rowe Price, among other notables. He also said automation and precision in the quality assurance processes of pharmaceutical and biotechs are going to be very important, especially in light of the COVID-19 pandemic. Rapid Microbio Systems shares closed at $21.13 yesterday. The Malaysian Automotive Association, or MAA, has trimmed its 2021 total industry volume, or TIV, forecast to 500,000 units from 570,000 units earlier, as the sales of vehicles in June this year dropped by almost 100% following the nationwide total lockdown. Auto sales shrank to only 1,921 units last month, a 96% drop from 47,204 units in May, mainly due to the shutdown of assembly lines and the closure of showrooms. The sales reported will spill over registrations from the end of May. This month's sales are also expected to be severely affected. MAA President Dato' Aisyah Ahmad said today that the association revised its TIV forecast after taking into account many factors, especially concerning an assumption on the government's directive that automotive plants, distribution centres and sales showrooms would not be allowed to operate during Phase 1 and 2 of the National Recovery Plan. For the first 6 months of 2021, TIV grew 44% to 249,129 units versus 173,545 units in the previous corresponding period. This was attributed mainly to the low base effect due to the implementation of MCO 1.0 last year. Total production volume in the first half of this year increased 45.3% to 241,288 units from 166,049 units in the same period last year.